Life is hectic.
Some days are just a blur.
We're Jay and Laura LaFoon, and we help busy couples stay married for life.
Welcome to the Married for Life podcast.
This week, this is the week between Christmas and New Year's where I always feel like we're going to get so much done. We got a whole week with nothing to do, so we can get so much done.
And we're going to get so ready for the new year.
Yes, and it's one of those things where it's like, oh my goodness. Where did the week go? Well,
I can tell you where it went.
In the bed.
Football.
No, well, between sleeping in, which isn't it funny how once you get into the Christmas spirit, you kind of sleep in a little bit more. Sleeping, for us anyway, sleeping in and football keeps us from getting all those wonderful projects.
Getting our list done.
We've got one room in our basement is an absolute disaster, and it's just one room. The rest of the house is no disaster at all, but we got one room, and it happens to be our studio, and we just need to, we need to take a day.
We need to get it organized. We need to clean stuff out,
Yeah.
but you go, but this game's on at 1, or this game, or we could have a game night and have friends over, and then you don't get anything
Or just
done.
freshly snowed and we're going to go snowshoeing or something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, this time of the year is hard to get stuff done, especially here in Michigan where it's snowy and cold. Probably if we lived in the South, we might get more done because it would be sunny and warm.
You know what would be fun is to hear from some of our listeners about how their Christmas went. They could email us at podcast@jayandlaura and tell us how their Christmas went.
If you established any new traditions, if you managed your expectations, and if you made time for your marriage, we would love to hear that.
We'd love to hear all of that because this time of year is just, it's special. It's we're closing one chapter and opening another, and our hope for 2019 is that is all is well and goes great for you, and that you're blessed. But we've got a blessing for you today. And that blessing, God has put into our path a number of younger couples who are passionate about marriage ministry. And we could not be more excited about these couples. We have a number of them around the country that we're in touch with. But today, you're going to meet one of those couples, and they're absolutely the cutest couple on the planet. They got a great marriage ministry, and we're going to interview today with Dustin and Bethany Riechmann. And the name of their ministry is called Engaged Marriage. Great young couple, lots of fun stuff to share. So
enjoy this interview. Our guests today are Dustin and Bethany Riechmann. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, Jay. Hey, Laura.
Hey, well, we know you
very well,
but our audience doesn't know you. So we want you to tell our audience a little bit about who you are, how long you've been married.
Kids.
We know you have kids, so tell us about your kids.
Awesome.
That kind of information.
All right. Well, I'm Dustin. This is Bethany, in case that needed clarification. We have 3 kids. We've been married 17 years. So we have kids from 13 to 8.
How long did you date before you got married?
I think since birth, no. I think we dated about 6 years before we got married.
Yeah. So we were high school sweethearts who actually made it.
Looking at her because you need to make sure we have 3 kids, right?
Yeah. I'm just confirming.
Very good.
I'm sorry.
So you high school sweethearts.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then went through college and still stayed together through college. That's incredible. That's a love story in and of itself there, because there's so many ups and downs through those years. That's awesome.
We definitely had our ups and downs, but we've made it through the other side. So
how old are your kids?
13. He doesn't know that.
I'm asking her.
13, 11, and 8.
Oh my goodness. You guys are in the middle of it. Now, boys, how does it go?
Our oldest is a boy who's 13, and then we have 2 girls. One's 11 and one's 8.
Okay.
And the 13-year-old is...
You may not see 14.
Yeah, it's tough.
So, yeah, he's in the crazy hormonal alpha male type of thing right now. So it's fun.
I thought infants were hard, but they're not.
So the 13-year-old, he'll grow out of that in about 3 or 4 years, just in time for your 2 girls to get
Right.
Exactly.
I feel like people have told us that, God makes it that way so that when it's time for them to leave, you want them to go. You're like, good job.
See ya. Yeah.
Good luck in the world.
Well, and the interesting thing too is that the boys, it's the alpha male thing. With the girls, it's drama.
Yeah.
As a guy, I don't know about you, Dustin, but as a guy, I can handle the alpha male thing because I don't care how big my son got. I've got old man skills, you know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yep.
But the drama, as a guy, you just don't know how to deal with the drama. It's
It's not something you're used to.
It's not something
Actually, with us, he's drama. So
Very true. Very true. So now, before we move on, I do. One of the reasons, I mean, we love you guys because we love what you do and we love you as people. But you guys as a family practice something very, very near and dear to my heart, and your whole family is involved with it. Now, Bethany knows what I'm talking about, but you know what I'm talking about yet?
Golf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Golf. That's right.
Should have known. I'm like thinking something deep. Like, what do we actually do that's that good? But yeah, golf.
Some of us practice it more than others, and some are better than others. But yes.
But your kids all play. Is that correct?
They do.
And what a fun family sport. So many people don't realize how fun golf is for the family, because you're not competing against each other. You're just competing against yourself in the golf course, and that makes for a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So,
we love it. We've been very, very blessed with a great youth program here through the PGA. It's a junior league. And then just recently we had the PGA Championship hosted in St. Louis. So we were able to take our whole family for a practice day and the Sunday round with Tiger in contention. It was amazing. So yeah, it was really good.
That was a great tournament. That was
like Tiger or not, you can audibly hear the difference in the roar of the crowd when he makes the putt. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Golf. People, we'll talk more later, but
we're here to talk about marriage.
yes, so tell us about your newest project and tell us all about it, because we just think it's wonderful.
Sure. So our overall thing that we do with marriage is called Engaged Marriage. So engagedmarriage.com. We've actually been doing that as a ministry and as a hobby and eventually a side business since 2009. So it's been a long time. And so through that, of course, we've developed a lot of great relationships with you all when you came in town, and we've become fast friends. And of course, with all the couples that we've interacted with over the years, and we've got lots of programs and different resources that have kind of grown out of that. And it's really grown out of our own story and our own struggles and the things that we've had to overcome. Now, sitting here 17 years in, we're able to help some people with hindsight. So yeah, the main thing that we stay focused on is something we call the 15-minute marriage makeover.
That's what we want to talk about, because
Sure.
I mean, think about it, for our listeners, 15-minute marriage makeover. Who in the world wouldn't want that? That you mean we can have a new marriage in 15 minutes? Well, I know it's a lot deeper than that, but
Sure.
Walk us through how that works.
So you just say, I want a new marriage, and then 15 minutes later, you got one.
Very good.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to share kind of where it came from?
Well, I mean, we had gone to a church retreat that we had thought it was for us to learn how to give the retreat to others. But within the retreat, we found that there were some exercises that were very beneficial to us that did not take very long. And we thought, well, why would we want to keep this to ourselves? We should figure out a way to, apply it to our marriage and then share that with others. So, Dustin's kind of the, business savvy one of us. And he came up with the plan and sort of wrote it all out for us. But, it's just focusing on 15 minutes a day, improving communication, most definitely, because the communication then affects all areas, major areas of marriage, including intimacy, finances, romance, all of the above. So yeah, we just kind of started with that.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, what it is what we call 15 minutes of couple time every day. So we have committed, and what we're encouraging couples to do is set a specific time aside away from the crazy kids and everything else for just 15 minutes, which is like 1% of your day. So it's very doable, especially once you get in a rhythm of it. And, that can be as simple as 15 minutes, no TV, no phones, just talking, holding hands, going for a walk, depending on what you're able to do. And that's kind of how we started. Just that reconnection every day really makes a huge difference. I know the question that we had, and as others have kind of followed this, is, okay, so after a while that gets boring. So what do you actually do for the 15 minutes? So we basically set out a 28-day plan for people. So for 1 week, the first week is all about communication. So there's some fun and some deep things that you go through as a couple. Everything's 15 minutes, but a communication week, romance week, and sex and intimacy week. And then we close with the fun week of money, of the finances. But it all hinges on that communication. And so then by the end of 28 days, it's really a habit. It's really a healthy habit. And it's something, that you you've established as part of your lifestyle. And that's really the magic in how it kind of refreshes your marriage and helps you reconnect a lot more deeply.
It's one of those things where, let's just be honest, for the guys, they're thinking 15 minutes without a device, 15 minutes of just conversation. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But they don't realize the benefits. And benefits are many. Number one, this conversation is very important to your wife. It's how she connects with you as a human being. It's very important for your kids that you're on the same page. Most parenting issues are marriage issues because mom and dad aren't on the same page. And it's 15 minutes. It's not like you're saying, okay, for 6 hours today, get on your hands and knees and pray together. No, it's 15 minutes of being with the one you love. And as Bethany said, it improves intimacy. It improves romance. You can begin to talk about the finances in real and tangible ways.
What a better way to start off the new year than releasing a child from poverty in the name of Jesus. And you know what? That's what Compassion International is all about. And we just want to take a break from our interview with Dustin and Bethany to really encourage you as a couple, as a family, to give hope in this new year, this year of 2019 coming up, that you would give hope to a child through the mission of Compassion International.
For more information about Compassion or to actually sponsor a child, we would encourage you to go to compassion.com/Jay and Laura. It's that simple. Compassion.com/Jay and Laura, where you can see a bunch of children that you could sponsor, and take your kids to that website. Let your kids help you choose who to sponsor. We really appreciate it.
Hey everyone, this is Paul Thomas, Director of Live Events here at Celebrate Ministries. We'll get you back to the podcast in just a moment. Jay and Laura have been talking about compassion all December, and we want to encourage you to consider sponsoring a child. We sponsor Compassion Children as a family, and it makes a great experience that the entire family or you as a couple can enjoy as you build a relationship with your sponsored child. Now, for the month of December, if you visit compassion.com/Jay and Laura, and if you sponsor a child, we will send you a copy of Laura's book, It's All About the Shoes, as our way of saying thank you. Now, sponsoring children from Compassion has been a blessing to my family. It's been a blessing to all of us on the Celebrate staff, and we know that it will be a blessing to you as you help release children from poverty in Jesus' name. If you want to find out more about Compassion, you want to find out the process to sponsor a child, check out the link that's in our show notes. Now, we've got several events coming up in 2019, like our Celebrate Your Marriage conferences at Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Those take place in May or October. And our marriage cruise set sail for Alaska in July. We've also got a great conference at Grand Hotel that celebrates the special relationship between mothers and daughters, and that takes place in June. And if you want to find out more about these events, if you want to buy tickets to these events, please check out our show notes or visit jayandlaura.com. Now, Jay and Laura are going to be back on the road this winter as the ultimate date night He Said, She Said tour kicks off. You can get tickets. You can find out where they're going by visiting jayandlaura.com. Finally, as 2018 comes to a close, we hope you enjoy this podcast. We hope you enjoy all the resources that Jay and Laura provide. At Celebrate Ministries, we are about helping people create Christ-centered relationships that are filled with fun and significance and growth that last a lifetime. Now, if you're interested in joining us to help couples in their marriages, would you consider making a year-end donation to Celebrate Ministries? You can visit jayandlaura.com for more information. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Let's get back to Jay and Laura.
So how many folks have you been able to sign up for this this is kind of a new, this isn't been 7 years that you've had this.
So it all kind of started with the book, right? So the book's got the plan, and I don't know, we've sold thousands of those books. And we actually wrote that in 2013-ish. So that's been around for a while. But what we've done in the past year or so is kind of take the book to a whole new level for people who want to go deeper with it. So we've got a whole course around those same activities. So we kind of updated the activities. We've got a lot of great video content, and we're teaching a lot of the skills because we're firm believers that marriage is a skill that you can get better at and improve. People say, I'm not a good communicator. I'm not good with money. They may not naturally be inclined, but with a little bit of effort and consistency, they can do a whole lot better. So what we do is we call it total marriage makeover. And so it's taken the book to a new level and helping people build skills around those same 15-minute activities. So it's still a 28-day plan, but we've seen that people get way bigger results we do a lot of coaching with it. So we're able to lead them through it, which keeps people accountable and keeps them actually showing up and doing, I say work very loosely because it's really not hard work, but showing up, consistently and doing the things that they've committed to do on the front end. So, so we started, the first time we did it was like after the first of the year. It's kind of a New Year's thing. And that was really fun because the 28 days basically ended right at Valentine's Day. So we had a lot of couples who had said they had the best Valentine's Day of their whole relationship because they had this 28 days of, kind of intense but consistent time together.
Well, so what's the feedback that you guys are getting from some of these couples that are doing this? Are they seeing results? Are they mastering some of those skills that maybe they felt a little inferior with before? What's some of the feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the biggest feedback is people use words like it broke down the ice. It got us out of a rut. We didn't realize how much we needed this. So a lot of the couples are kind of in a good state, right? They would say, "Oh, our marriage is fine," which is a huge pet peeve of ours because like who wants to live that way?
Mine too. It can't stand fine.
Yeah, but there are also couples who come through, especially since we've got the more full-fledged version with Total Marriage Makeover, where there's a lot more support. So we have couples that are actually really struggling, who are not divorced, but kind of heading in that direction. They feel like they've fell down a slippery slope. They've had some broken trust issues, even infidelity, and so they're doing this through a different lens. And sometimes we have to modify things with them because, they're not ready to be as intimate, in some of those circumstances. But we've seen people truly transform their relationship and be able to grow back together, grow back in trust when they felt like they were afraid to the point that it was almost over. So that's been super fulfilling. That's kind of been an unintended consequence because our mission really is set now just to get the people off the fine fence and move them up and let them have a much more extraordinary marriage. But with that, you find people who are in real pain, and it's really been gratifying.
Well, we asked them
gift
sort
from
of
God, yeah.
when they come in to sort of rate where they are in their marriage, and I'd say all of them have made some movement,
absolutely,
towards the better. And like Dustin said, some of them will come in and say they're fine, but that's obviously not what we want. And I think when they're done with the 28 days, they can definitely say that they're moving in a better direction. And I think the feedback we've gotten is it's nice to have sort of a guide to bring up topics that may be uncomfortable or something that you didn't realize even for your spouse was something that they wanted to communicate about. And so the book and the program gives you the opportunity so that it's not one person feeling like they're always bringing that topic up, but it's already laid out for you. And you're like, well, this week we're going to talk about this. So it's not putting, the pressure on one spouse.
You're able to ease into things.
When you say you're guiding them and coaching them, are you doing this via online? Are they coming into your home? Or are you going somewhere?
Yeah, it's all online. So we do it a couple different ways. So there's a couple times a year, like we'll be doing it again in December of this year, where we open it up. It's kind of a big deal, and we're all going through it together, right? So that's end of the year, beginning of the year, and then we do that mid-year too. And so that's a more live experience. We're doing calls like this actually in the same platform where it's one to many. So we may have 100 people on there, so we're not necessarily seeing everyone's face, but they're seeing ours, and we're able to talk to them and communicate. Then we've got a private Facebook group, and then for those people, we're always available via email. So it happens in a variety of platforms because some people aren't comfortable getting on a video call.
Right.
Some people aren't comfortable sharing in a Facebook group, even if it's private only to the other members. But some people love that because they love to get feedback from their peers.
Uh-huh.
So it's not all us.
And
but
the
yeah,
group,
that's
that
the
Facebook
format.
group is nice because people can ask for prayers or ask for advice,
Right.
or when you were on this module, how did you handle that? And so it is nice to have the community support for that.
Yeah.
So I liken the word fine to macaroni and cheese. Everything comes back to food for me. I mean, we're going to have days where, our marriage is going to be macaroni and cheese. It's just fine today. But I don't want that every day.
Right.
I want to have a nice steak. I want to have some lobster every once in a while. I want to go to a buffet every once in a while. I want to experience better than macaroni and cheese. And I think, your illustration of getting them off the fine fence is really another great illustration. And to prove to you guys, and maybe to prove to our listeners and some of your folks too, people can change. When I met Laura, she would say she knew nothing about finances. I mean, absolutely nothing. She was terrible with money. And
other than spending it.
she loved to spend it. But now,
I can
she's
relate.
really good at that too.
yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give Laura an 8.5 or a 9, where when we got married, she was a 2 at best. And she's grown and she's learned. And I think all of us, yeah, we have weaknesses. We have those areas but having a guide, like you say, to say, you know what? So you're a 4 in communication. Let's get you to a 6 and see how much better your marriage is going to be. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing with people. Is that correct?
That's exactly it. And actually, my background's in engineering. Bethany was a special ed teacher by trade. And so I think when you combine those things, I very much try to quantify things. So like she said, we literally have people, we give them criteria for what the score is, but from a 1 to a 10, right? Where a 10 is twice in your life you feel this way, your marriage is perfect, you're in the clouds. A 1 means we're separated, we're on the verge of divorce. And then the 5 is that fine zone, right? And so we talk a lot about that a lot of people, when you really stop and think about what you want from a relationship, why you got married in the first place, what were your dreams for this stage in life, and when you reflect back where you're at, and you do an honest assessment, a lot of people would say they're living in 4 or 5, kind of zone. And that's really our passion, is to get people up, like experience a 7 on a consistent basis. We're not pretending you're going to have a 10 every day. Like you said, there's macaroni and cheese days for sure. But why not be pushing up that scale? And then the other important fact is, if you don't do anything, you guys are Dr. Gary Chapman fans. I know he's been at your events and cruises and things. And I know one of his quotes that I love is that a marriage is either growing or dying. It can't stay the same, because it's like a living thing. And so when you think about that scale, we talk about a teeter-totter, right? So you're the 5's right in the middle, and it's the tipping point. Well, if you're not constantly pushing up the scale and you just kind of get in a rut and you just kind of go through the motions every day, you're going to be backsliding, kind of whether you realize it or not. And as an illustration with the teeter-totter, we talk about it becomes a slippery slope. Like you can feel like you're fine. Meanwhile, you're getting to 4, 3.5, and it's usually very abrupt. Like with the couples that come to us and friends that have experienced this too, it's like they woke up one day and they felt like roommates, or they woke up and found out he cheated, or that she had a bunch of debt that she was hiding, but it feels sudden. It's not like, I knew we felt like we went from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. It's pretty much never that. It's like, we're fine. And then, bam, hit this slippery slope, and now things are really bad. So we can attempt to help people when they're really bad, but we're not therapists and we're not counselors. We'd much prefer to keep people, get the 4s and start sliding them up, let them tip towards the 10 side. So,
well, and here's what's really interesting. I mean, because we've been married a really long time. Every season of life brings a new challenge for the marriage. When you're newlyweds, it's getting used to each other. When you have babies, it's getting used to then the kids grow, and now you guys are entering the teen years.
Yeah.
And then we've just recently entered the empty nest. And while we've been looking forward to this for decades now, it still is an adjustment, and we're having, to adjust to that. And it's good adjustments, but it's always a challenge to the marriage, and always a challenge to say, how can we continue to grow as a couple? So why do you guys do what you do?
Well, I would say that, first of all, it's a calling. I mean, I don't think either one of us set out when we were, deciding our career to be like, we're going to be, marriage bloggers, and we're going to have,
Right.
That was not it. I truly believe that it was a calling. And I think that some of the hardships and things that we've gone through in our lives, but conversely, some of the wonderful examples that we've had of marriage, we want to be able to help people, regular people, achieve greatness in their marriage. And I think we, like you, believe that there are lots of seasons in your marriage, and that it's an ever-growing and changing relationship. And so our goal and hope is that we can give people tools to use throughout their marriage. Because like you said, not everybody's a great communicator. You can still learn. I don't think we were ever taught how to have a good marriage. Like, no one sits you down, you're educated on lots of things, but I don't think many people get an education on how to have a successful marriage.
Right. Yeah. And for me, it was this whole part of it, of being public and helping others, is just what Bethany described. It just came organically. I think, it started in our church, and it's just grown as a ministry for us. But the idea of having a healthy marriage for me was, as early as I can remember, was super important, because I grew up with no model of a good marriage at all. So, and my dad was a raging alcoholic and very abusive of my mother. I had a literal redheaded stepchild as a older brother, and he was abused, and I was abused, but not to the extent that they were. And so I grew up in this household all the way up until our son's age now, like around 12 or 13, where I felt like marriage was this trap, right? I also was never raised in any kind of faith life. I was never baptized. So I had no perception of what it was meant from a faith standpoint. I just knew my mom was locked into this thing with this guy who I loved, but who was treating her so badly. Like, why would you stay in this? And I felt like marriage was a trap, literally. And so the day she told me they were getting divorced, when I was getting ready to enter into high school, was one of the happiest days I can remember as a kid, which is really sad in hindsight. But I was like, finally, we'll get out of this crazy world that I've known. And not too long after that, they did get divorced. My dad was out of the house. That was what he needed. It ended up helping him get sober after 50 years of his life. So Bethany and I met in high school. I started hanging around her family. They have their things too, but they're very much a strong Christian family, a strong Christian marriage. And it really gave me a whole different model for what this was supposed to be like. And so in college, Bethany was my sponsor, and I ended up joining the church and getting baptized and everything as a young college guy. In large part, I didn't really realize it at the time, because of the example of her parents, and because I knew what I wanted out of my own marriage and what that meant as a Christian. And then right after that, and while we were still in college, she and I actually stood as the attendants to my parents as they got remarried later in life. And so we've seen both sides of the scale, and that's why we personally wanted to work on this since we first got married. We were reading and trying to learn and going to retreats and doing what we could, because we knew how much it meant to us. And from that, we wanted to kind of give the same gift to others. So.
Well, not right away when we first were married did we say,
no. After we screwed up a lot and had a a lot of painful stuff, we decided we need help too. I may not be my dad, but I kind of suck at communication and romance. So.
Well, but I think it was when you bring children into your marriage, I think it's just such a huge, it just turns everything upside down, and not in a terrible way. It makes you really reevaluate, what does marriage mean? And it's a struggle to keep your marriage the number one thing over parenting. And I think that's something else that is a true message that we're trying to get out, that, we get closer to God in our marriage, and our children get closer because of our marriage and our relationship with God. So that's another major goal for us, is to help other people realize that their marriage is so important in parenting.
Well, you guys are wise beyond your years. Obviously, God has done a miraculous work in your lives together, and in and of itself, that would be great. But now you're taking all of that you have learned and grown and done, and you're sharing it with others. We've loved you guys from the beginning. We continue to love what you're doing, and watching you grow in your, not only your ministry, but as a couple. How can people connect with you?
Sure. So the easiest way is just go to Engaged. That's with the D, and actually you can see it right there. But you can go to engagedmarriage.com. We named it that because we're all about keeping people engaged, not just when they're first courting each other. And from there, right on the homepage, you can sign up for our newsletter. That's really the best thing, because we communicate regularly with all the tips and things that we can. We bring on awesome couples like you guys have gifted our community with your own knowledge. And that's where we talk about events and all kinds of good stuff. So engagemarriage.com is easy. And then on all the social stuff, it's Engaged Marriage. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, all that stuff. Yeah. So if anyone prefers those platforms.
There you go. Well, we have so enjoyed having you, and, blessings on you. And we just pray that we will continue to spur each other on to keep doing this marriage thing and helping couples out. So Dustin, Bethany, thank you so much, and God bless you.
All right.
Thank you.
God bless you guys. Thanks so much.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our interview with Dustin and Bethany. We hope you're looking forward to 2019. We just want to thank you for joining us in our podcast. And if you would be so kind as to rate us, share with your friends. We have enjoyed this podcasting, and we are looking forward to doing more in 2019. We are Jay and Laura LaFoon, helping busy couples stay married for life.